Very good afternoon, dear students. In the last class, we have discussed about cell cycle and various checkpoints in cell cycle regulation. So, we'll continue our discussion on cell cycle regulation in today's class also. So, as I told you in the last class, there are 3 points at which the cell cycle progress is checked. The first checkpoint is present at the late G1, or you can say late G1 to S phase entry. There we have first checkpoint, which actually checks whether environment is favorable for undergoing the replication of DNA, whether the materials required for DNA replication have been synthesized in enough quantity, and if yes, then it will allow the cell to enter into the S phase and undergo DNA replication. Then the second checkpoint or second control system is present in the G2 to M phase transition. So when the cell want to enter into M phase from the G2 phase, there the cell will be checked for different things like whether the DNA has been properly replicated or it carries any errors in it, that will be checked. If it has errors, it will not allow the cell to enter into M phase. It gives some time for correction of those errors and then the cell will be allowed to enter into M phase. One more thing it will check is whether the environment to undergo nuclear as well as cytoplasmic division in M phase is favorable for the cell or not. That will be also checked in this G to M transition phase. Then it will be allowed to enter into M phase. Then there is one more checkpoint situated in the M phase, which is situated at the transition of metaphase to anaphase. So when the cell want to enter into anaphase from metaphase, it will be checked again for whether all the chromosomes are attached to spindle fibers or not. If some chromosomes are still not attached to spindle fibers and if the checkpoint allows the cell to enter into anaphase from the metaphase, it results into improper segregation of chromosome. That's why it will not allow the cell to enter into anaphase if spindle fibers are not attached to all the chromosomes. First, it gives the signals to spindle fibers to attach to each and every chromosome, and once this is done, then the cell is allowed to enter into anaphase to have a proper segregation of chromosomes to maintain the proper number of chromosomes in the daughter cells. This check is very essential, very necessary. Then coming to the properties of this control system or checkpoints. So they are generally binary. That means they can act like an on-off switch. When the favorable conditions are available, when everything is ready, everything is favorable, they will switch on and allow the cell to enter into the next phase. When they find the environment is not favorable, DNA replication has not been properly done or the things required for DNA replication are not synthesized yet, then it will switch off and it will not allow the cell to enter into the next phase. So they act like a on-off switches. Whenever they feel that everything is fine, everything is okay, then they switch it on and allow the cell to enter into the next phase. Whenever they find some errors, they find something unnecessary, then they will switch off the button. Then the next property of this cell cycle control system is, or checkpoints is, they are remarkably robust and reliable. So checkpoints are robust. That means a cascade of biochemical events, a large cascade of biochemical events is going to control the cell cycle progression. It is not only one protein or two proteins, it is many proteins which are controlling or which are checking the progress of cell cycle. And as it involves many proteins, many enzymes, it is reliable. It is not relying on the single protein or single enzyme. It is involving many enzymes, many proteins. That's why it is very robust and it is reliable. It can be relied upon. Then the third property is this control system is highly adaptable. So according to the environmental conditions, it adapts. So whenever the environment is not favorable for the cell division, it adapts and switches off the button, and whenever the favorable conditions are available, it switches on and it allows the cell to undergo mitotic divisions. So according to the needs of an organism, according to the environmental conditions available, it adapts and helps in regulating the cell division. The major thing, or we can say heart or central component of cell cycle control system is CDK. The whole cell cycle is controlled by majorly by this particular group of proteins called cyclin dependent protein kinases, or CDKs in short. So it's called as heart of the cell cycle control system. If heart stops beating, the organism will die. If the CDKs will not work properly, will not function properly, the cell cycle will not be regulated. So they are the central component of cell cycle control system. The activity of these kinases, these are kinases. Kinases means they are the enzymes which add phosphate group to the substrate. Such enzymes are grouped as kinases. The activity of these kinases rise and fall as the cell progresses through the cell cycle, leading to cyclical changes in the phosphorylation of intracellular proteins that initiate or regulate the major events of the cell cycle. So what these CDKs do is they are going to phosphorylate different proteins which ultimately are controlling or initiating the major events of cell cycle. So there are some proteins which are initiating or which are regulating the cell cycle, and these proteins are regulated through the process of phosphorylation by cyclin dependent protein kinases or cyclin dependent kinases. For example, if there is an increase in CDK activity at G to M transition, when the cell want to enter into M phase from the G2 phase, there is a rise in the particular CDK activity, and this CDK is going to phosphorylate the proteins, different proteins, which are ultimately going to control chromosome condensation, nuclear envelope breakdown, spindle assembly, as well as different other events which occur in early mitosis. So for each event we need different protein, and all these proteins responsible for start of mitotic phase are controlled by CDKs, which are active in G to M phase transition. Then one more major protein responsible for cell cycle regulation or control is cyclins. Cyclical changes in CDK activity are controlled by proteins called cyclins. So the changes in the activity of cyclin dependent kinases are under the control of cyclins. So if CDKs are the heart of an organism, cyclins are brain of an organism. So the brain is actually controlling at what rate heart should beat. Sometimes we have a heartbeat rate of 110, 120. Sometimes we have a heartbeat rate 40, and normally it will be 72. So it is under the control of brain actually. So cyclins are brain of the cell cycle regulation system, which ultimately control the activity of CDK. So CDKs, as their name implies, are dependent on cyclins. So if they get a signal from cyclin, they will start their actions. Cyclin dependent kinases. That means these CDKs are the kinase type of enzymes which depend on cyclin proteins for their activity. Cyclins were originally named because, so these cyclins are named so because they undergo cycle of synthesis as well as degradation in each cell cycle. At particular phase of a cell cycle, some cyclins will be synthesized and other cyclins will be degraded. So they will continuously be synthesized and degraded. That's why they are called cyclins. They are recycled. Cyclical changes in cyclin protein levels result in cyclic assembly and activation of cyclin CDK complex at specific stage of a cell cycle. In this diagram you can see whenever cyclin comes and attaches to cyclin dependent kinase, then only cyclin dependent kinase will become active, otherwise it will remain as inactive protein. Remember, cyclin dependent kinases will always be present throughout the cell cycle. They will not be synthesized or they will not be degraded, or constant concentration of CDKs will always be present in the cell, whereas cyclins are synthesized as well as degraded. When they are synthesized, they will come and attach to CDK and they make CDK active. So whenever it won't receive the cyclin, CDK won't receive the cyclin, that cyclin dependent kinase will not be active. So there are different classes of cyclins. For our convenience, we have categorized the cyclins into four classes. First one is G1 cyclins. So in this transition of G1 to S, these cyclins are synthesized and they are going to activate the CDKs at G1S phase, G1S transition phase. That's why they are called G1S cyclins. They are synthesized in the late G1 and thereby help trigger progression through the start, resulting in commitment of cell cycle entry. Their levels again fall in the S phase, S phase. So they are synthesized in G1, they will attach to CDK in the late G1 and they will activate the CDKs and they will help the cell to progress through the G1 to S phase. Then there are some more cyclins which are synthesized in the S phase. That's why they are called S cyclins. They bind CDK soon after the progression through the start and help stimulate chromosome duplication. So these S cyclins are synthesized in the S phase and at the initial phases of S phase, and they activate the CDKs, and these CDKs ultimately give a message to the DNA for replication. S cyclin levels remain elevated until mitosis. So this S cyclins will be maintained, the elevated level of S cyclin will be maintained till the end of mitotic phase. And these cyclins also contribute to the control of some early mitotic events. M cyclin is the next category of cyclins. As they are produced in M phase, they are called M cyclins. They activate some more CDKs and stimulate the entry into mitosis from the G2 phase. So they are responsible for G2 to M transition, and their level will fall in the mid-mitotic phase. When the cell reaches mid-mitotic phase, the M cyclin level falls down. In most of the cells, the fourth class of cyclins called G1 cyclins, which governs the activity of G1S cyclins. So these G1 cyclins are the proteins which control the activities of G1S cyclins. They are also present in the eukaryotic cells. So this is a diagram to show you the production of cyclins and their elevated levels. So when the cell is in G1 phase, G1S cyclins at the late G1 phase, yes, G1S cyclins are produced, and in the late G1 phase they are going to attach with G1S CDK. Then S cyclins, they are produced at the late G1 phase. They started producing at the late G1 to S transition phase, and they will attach to S CDKs, and ultimately S CDK stimulates the DNA replication. These S cyclin levels are maintained in the elevated form till the mid of M phase. Red line you can see. They are produced in the late G1 to S transition, and they are maintained till mid of mitotic phase. Then there is one more type of cyclin called M cyclin, which is produced when the cell enters into M phase from the G2. So we can say it is produced in between the transition phase of G2 to M, and they are maintained up to the mid of M phase, and their concentration falls down after the metaphase formation. So these are some cyclins along with their CDKs, which ultimately help in controlling the or regulating the cell cycle. So major cyclins and CDKs of vertebrates and budding yeasts are represented in this table. So there are four different types of cyclins. Cyclin proteins present in vertebrates. So G1 CDK, G1 cyclins are called cyclin D, G1S are called cyclin E, S cyclins are called cyclin A, and M cyclins are cyclin B. So their CDK partners are of four types. Cyclin D is going to activate CDK4 and CDK6. E is acting on CDK2. Cyclin A is responsible for activating CDK2 and CDK1, whereas cyclin B is responsible for activating CDK1. Whereas in case of budding yeast, the name given to cyclins are CLN3, 1, 2, 5, 6 and CLN 1, 2, 3, 4. They are going to bind with only and only single type of protein CDK, which is called as CDK1. So only one CDK type is found in budding yeast, whereas in case of vertebrates, four types of CDKs are present, whereas cyclins are of four types in vertebrates and cyclins are of six types in case of budding yeast. So how do different cyclin CDK complexes trigger different cell cycle events? So that's a major question everybody will get after thinking of cyclin CDK complex and how they regulate the cell cycle. So in this diagram, it will be clear how they usually act. So this is in first diagram you can see the image of inactive CDK, which has a protein folding in red coloration, and that protein folding is present in the active site of this CDK, active site. So that is a bulged area where you can find red colored region, and that bulged area is called as active site, actual active site. So this CDK, when it binds with cyclin, there is a conformational change in the active site of CDK. So this red colored line will change its shape, and due to the change in the shape of this protein, that inactive site of CDK is converted now into active site through the addition of cyclin. So actually cyclin will cause some conformational changes in the CDK and make them active. Then one more thing which is added in this partially active CDK is CDK activating kinases. So there are some more enzymes called CDK activating kinases which add phosphate group to the active site of CDKs. So you can see the addition of P in the active site. So when you add the P with the help of CDK activating kinases, the CDKs are now considered as fully active and they are ready to phosphorylate the proteins which ultimately control the different phases of cell cycle. So this CDK activity, as we know, CDKs are dependent on cyclins. So this CDK activity can be suppressed by inhibitory phosphorylation and CDK inhibitor proteins. So whenever it won't get cyclins, it will not become active. Apart from this, active CDK can be suppressed by inhibitory phosphorylation and CDK inhibitor proteins. So phosphorylation at a pair of amino acids in the roof of kinase active site inhibits the activity of cyclin CDK complex. So think that one more phosphate group is added by V1 kinase. In this diagram you can see V1 kinase is an enzyme which is adding one phosphate group in the kinase active site of CDK, Due to the addition of this phosphate group, cyclins will leave the CDKs and this CDK will become inactive. So it is necessary to remove that phosphate. There are some more enzymes like CDC 25 phosphatase enzyme which removes that inhibitory phosphate, and again the cyclin will come and attach to the CDK, and again it will become active. So with the help of some inhibitory proteins like V1 kinase protein, the activity of CDK can be inhibited, and the inactive CDK can be again made active by the action of CDC25 phosphatase enzyme. There are some more enzymes which are called CDK inhibitor proteins, which inactivates the cyclin CDK complex. So this cyclin CDK complex can be inactivated by CDK inhibitor proteins. One such example is present in this diagram is P27. So this cyclin CDK complex in the first diagram is active now if P27 comes and attaches to this active complex of cyclin CDK. It inactivates this cyclin CDK complex by addition of some enzymes like P27 or some proteins like P27. We can inactivate this cyclin CDK complex too.